My specialty is.
Then at one point during the party, I saw Duchess Tuania and Duke Ergi standing on the balcony together. Then teach her some manners. Lady Rashta doesn't know as the most popular gentleman and lady in society were together by themselves. The ways of insincere everyone had their eye on them. Nobles yet that's linexpected.
The first to emerge from the balcony was Duke Ergi. Leave what about Rashta? She was chatting with Grand Duke Rylan Roth at that moment. Someone then asked Duke Ergi, if he found Duchess Tuania beautiful.
I suppose I gave an awful answer.
Now I understand why so many men fall for her.
Is what he said. That's all I managed to hear, but I don't know what happened next. When the fight broke out, it was complete mayhem. Laura, Duchess Tuania slapped Duke Ergi in the face. When suddenly, a woman ran towards the Duchess. The Duke's head turned like that. And started pulling her hair from behind. Bewildered, oh dear. Well, let's just say I can fly and leave it at that. You can fly? How incredible. Can you take someone with you while you're flying? It depends on who it is. How about me? That woman was one of Duke Ergi's former lovers. Apparently, she's been pursuing him even after they broke up. Sigh, and no one knows why the Duchess acted that way. No, then I'm sure all sorts of speculative rumors will start to spread. Don't worry about it too much, Your Majesty. These kinds of incidents happen every year. I'm sure people will find something else to talk about soon. Queen, are you all right? Drink this, Queen. What's wrong, Queen? Can you take me with you while you're flying?
Well.
Queen? Sometimes you act just like a person. What's the matter, Queen? Were you acting like that because you wanted to take me somewhere?
What was he trying to do? Your Majesty is, cough. Too heavy for me to carry. Was he really trying to take me to Prince Henrey?
Your Majesty. Good afternoon, Rashta. Your Majesty, may I discuss something with you real quick? Speak. I heard that I will be given an allowance as a mistress. So what's the matter? How much will I receive? Gassed about 30,000 crans per year. Really? When can I start receiving the money? From the beginning of the next month. Why, then, will there be a record of the amount that I receive? Yes, for bookkeeping. Yesterday, His Majesty said Baron Lanta would be in charge of managing my finances. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you're heavy, I just mean that you're too heavy for me to carry while flying. Could you give me some of that money, Lim? Separately? You don't need to worry. Even if Baron Lanta manages your money, he won't say anything about how you spend it. No, that's not what I mean. Could you perhaps give me 15,000, 10,000 crans out of the total and keep it off the record? Nervous, would that be possible? I heard that sometimes there are two sets of records. It's not impossible to do, but I think you should get permission from His Majesty first. His Majesty is the one who is for your welfare, so you should ask him directly. What are you so upset about today? The Empress is so cold-hearted. Did you have an argument with her? She's not the type to provoke you first. Do you think the Empress is a nice person? No, as you said, she's very reserved. She's very strict about setting boundaries, and she acts like an empress, thinks like an empress, and speaks like an empress. You can tell all that from the short amount of time you've known her? Well, it's not a short amount of time, as I've been observing her for a long time. So what's the matter? 2. There's an allowance that mistresses are allocated. I asked her to give me some of it separately, but she refused. Because I need money. What? Why did you ask for that? I'm sure His Majesty will give you whatever you need if you ask. I see. No, I'm not. Are you upset? Sweat, that was a curt reply. I think you're angry. It's not that easy. His Majesty said that Baron Lanta will be in charge of my allowance. Why would that matter? Then I won't be able to spend it freely. You'd do that? If you really need money, then how about I lend you some? We can put together a NIOU and write down the exact amount that I lend you. You don't even have to pay me back until you're in charge of your own finances. Alright, I won't ask for the money back for about 5 years. What do you think? However, then,
There's a catch.
the next evening, it was quite interesting. Did anything happen while I was away? How was your day ATWILWOL, Your Majesty? Don't even get me started. It was total chaos. What do you mean? She did? Duchess Tuania got into a catfight with another noblewoman. What do you mean? Duke Ergi rented the entire opera house and threw a surprise party. Since the Duke was hosting it, practically everyone was there.
There's a catch. A catch.
Haha, please don't be offended, Your Majesty. She is said to wander around the palace. She's just a mistress from the lowest rung of society. I'm sure there must be a lot of things that she does which are inappropriate, as she doesn't know the etiquette required in the palace yet. But I'm sure she will learn eventually. Is he saying that I'm being sensitive because I'm bothered by someone tailing me everywhere?
That will be all.
Lady Artina. Yes, Your Majesty. What did you come to speak to me about, Your Majesty? Why do you keep following me around? What? Startle, I'd prefer it if you didn't deny it. I'm sure you're also aware that we've been running G into each other constantly. Oh, it's BECAUSEDUKEERGI said Your Majesty is a model empress. I'm not from a noble family, so you know there's a lot I don't know. Baron Lonta does instruct me, but I can't learn properly from just listening to explanations. Could you tell me what you need the money for? Why, so I can stop you if I think you're getting scammed. So what's your point? But I doubt you I will teach me etiquette and things like that. So I thought I want to be more like Your Majesty. Could try and learn from you by observing you from afar. If you want to learn etiquette, then you should tell His Majesty, or ask Viscountess Verdi. I promise I won't get in your way. So can't you just pretend you don't see me? I'll just watch you from a distance and you won't even know I'm there. Please? Tomorrow ECIAL banquet? Let's have tomorrow. I don't know why you think you need to become more like me, RASHTA. She was copying everything I do? I'm sure SOVIESHU loves you for WHO you are right now, and as you know, we are very different. Glance and Duke Ergi also became friends with the person you are now. So I don't think you need to follow me around. Still, if you follow me in a way that's not noticeable, then I can't stop you from doing that. But if I do notice that you're following Ime, then I'll get the guards to send you far away from me. So don't follow me around.
Dexter T. The day of the public ball. A few days later. Since you're trying to spend money without the Emperor knowing, I'm sure it's for something shady. The public ball is an occasion where commoners are welcome and everyone can attend regardless of their status. It's popular because it's one of the few events where commoners and nobles can mingle. When public support is low, the imperial family will sometimes put on a public ball that is very grand.
Support for Sovietshu's reign isn't low enough for that to be necessary, but everyone will be amazed at your outfit, Your Majesty. I doubt it. People wear the most extravagant dresses to masquerade balls. But not everyone can pull off such an intensely red gown like Your Majesty. Well, is that supposed to be a compliment? Hasn't been following me around in such an obvious way like before, but lately, Rashta, swivel hide. Oh no, how could this be? Commotion. If you're about to get caught up in something weird, I should stop you. I think I can trust him. Your Majesty, your dress. It's similar to mine. Did you wear a similar dress on purpose? You have crossed the line, Lady Rashta. So when you said you wanted to be more like me, did you mean you wanted to copy everything I do? Fume, why would I do that? Copying you would only make both of us the subject of ridicule, so why would I do such a thing? You should also bear that in mind in the future. Lady Rashta. WHO copied WHO? The truth is, it's probably Her Majesty because she arrived later. Come on, do you think she'd turn up later if she was the one WHO copied that woman? She'd beat her to the punch. Maybe she knew we'd think that way and used it as a tactic to trick us. Should I round up everyone who's being rude? It's fine, but why would Her Majesty wear a similar dress to someone else? Oh, I heard that silver-haired woman is His Majesty's lover. That's right, and what's more, I heard she's not a noblewoman. In fact, she's a commoner just like us. Wait, so did she do that on purpose just to screw her over? It makes my blood boil. Do all mistresses ACT this way? WHO could have leaked the information about what I was going to wear. You Majesty.
Your Majesty.
Ha ha ha, you have no idea how surprised I was when I saw Her Majesty and Lady Rashta wearing gowns that were incredibly similar. Although, technically, Lady Rashta arrived at the ball first and Her Majesty arrived later. Is that so? What a coincidence.
Let's make the public ball a masquerade ball. Masquerade balls were popular during the late emperor's reign, so I'm sure everyone will enjoy it. I was the one WHO told the empress to wear a red gown. But as everyone will be wearing a mask, we'll have to be extra careful, Your Majesty. With security, how many days has it been already?
Does Your Majesty have something to say to Lady Rashta? Yes, she was. Wasn't she there yesterday, too?
I was the one WHO told the empress to wear a. Isn't it obvious whose dignity I have to protect? I see.
What a great dancer.
Why don't you ask her for a dance? You look like you want to. What, over there?
Jealous? WHO? Me?
Are you jealous? You mocking me? When are you going to stop being so contrary when you're angry? I could say the same about you. I've always wondered.
Did my mother teach you how to win arguments when you were a child? Do you really want to know? How do you always manage to have the last word?
I do, actually. You look even more beautiful than I could have imagined, Empress. And thank you for honoring my request.
Then shall we set our titles aside for a moment and spend the next half hour addressing each other as equals? Then I'll tell you.
Do you remember suggesting the same thing when we were younger? And what you did afterwards? I refuse. I'm not going to fall for that again. I know what you're like. Are they talking about affairs of the state even at a party like this?
Thing. And Duke Ergi's not here because he went to RIMWELL. Bye Lady Kashita. I wonder if he's managed to find out a bit more information about the baby?
That man is
Duke Tuania. Why did he lie? I will wear whatever color you request, Your Majesty.
No, I'm having cake. Do you want some as well? Do you know how many pieces they had so far? What about you, Your Majesty? Do you know how many glasses you've had so far? Once the ball is over, there will be a rumor going around that the Empress really loves cake. It's better than getting drunk and acting silly in front of our subjects. I'm not going to drink that much. He's not jealous?
Well, it's none of my business anyway, my queen.
Prince Heinrey. Do you mind if I join you for a moment? I'm not a very good dancer. Really? You seem to be in fine form to me. So Your Majesty requested it. How have you been, Your Majesty?
Clink. Though he's not the jealous type, he doesn't seem to like people WHO give his lover a hard time. There were so many noble women and ladies WHO asked about your dress that it's difficult to identify the person WHO leaked the information, Your Majesty. I suppose it makes sense, as people would want to avoid getting the same gown as me. Your Majesty, have you heard what happened? It's really big news, Laura. I told you not to run in front of Her Majesty as it makes you look unladylike. What could be so important that you needed to tell me this urgently? It's about Duchess Tuania. Duke Tuania. Told her that he wanted a divorce. It's lovely to see that you both still have such an excellent relationship. Apparently, people heard him yelling about how he was suspicious that their son was actually his brother's heir, and that he couldn't help but feel suspicious because of how she usually acts. He also took issue with how she got into a fight with another woman over Duke Ergi. He said that there must have been something going on between her and Duke Ergi, or she wouldn't have ended up getting into an altercation over him. Somebody apparently once asked Duke Tuania's father if he minded whether his grandson might actually be Lord Marius's child. He said that it didn't matter to him because the child would still be his grandson either way. This all does seem rather strange. They said that the Duchess got pregnant after just one night of passion before she married the Duke. But she hasn't been able to conceive following her marriage. The Duke can't even trust the paternity tests conducted by the temple, so I understand why he made T feel frustrated. The temple's paternity tests lost credibility after an incident in which two twin brothers were both named as the fathers of a baby 35 years ago. Perhaps the Duke is actually impotent but didn't pursue the matter because of his pride. But it's been 10 years since all of that happened and it was all swept under the rug. Why is he filing for a divorce now?
Could it?
Rashta, have something to do with RASHTA? How did the Duchess respond, Laura? She said she would never agree to a divorce. They might even end up going to court over it. Yes, Your Majesty. Find out why the Duke suddenly wants a divorce. If this is something that RASHTA planned, then I can't just let her get away with it like before. Because that means that Rashta is now able to manipulate high GOCIETY. If you'll excuse me, WHO copied WHO? Why did he help me?
4 days later, Your Majesty, I've got some terrible news.
It's about Viscount Lander. He stabbed RASHTA with a knife. And thus began yet another tumultuous turn of events. What do you think, Your Majesty? To be honest.
It doesn't really matter.
Then why did you take my side?
I had no choice. You represent the Eastern Empire. How you are perceived is how the imperial family is perceived.
Viscount Lander stabbed RASHTA with a knife. Viscount Lander.
Your Majesty, thank you for saving RASHTA. Pat, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I see. Does he really not care that another man came to visit his lover so late in the evening? Is it because he's still in shock or? I knew it. Should you be pressing the area near her wound like that? Congratulations, Your Majesty. Lady RASHTA is with child. She's pregnant. Is the man WHO recently fell head over heels in love with Duchess Tuania?
Your Majesty, His Majesty is here to see you. This early in the morning? Show him in. Yes, Your Majesty. RASHTA is pregnant.
I'm afraid I can't give you my congratulations. The child will be illegitimate, but it will still be my first child.
I see.
That going forward, it is around the same amount that other mistresses WHO gave birth to children received.
I will do so.
And
It seems the Viscount also thought that Lady RASHTA was the one WHO started the rumor about Duchess Tuania. Everything started out fine. I'm told RASHTA was the one WHO let the Viscount in. He must have done this because he's in love with the Duchess. RASHTA isn't conscious yet, but her life isn't in danger. Queen, when did you get here?
thank you.
That hug made me feel much better.
Then Duke Ergi said he smelled blood and stormed in after kicking the door down, and stopped the Viscount at the scene of the crime. Viscount Lander was arrested right away.
What am I going to do? Once Rashta's baby is born, it will be the Emperor's first child. Plus it will be cute. And people love babies. It will only take those 3 qualities for people to fall in love with it. If I act coldly towards a child like that. Prince Heinrich? He says he has something urgent to tell you. He's never come to visit me in my chambers before. What brings him here? Let him in.
I came to comfort you.
Would you say no to me giving you a comforting hug as a friend? After all, it's, not unusual for friends to hug each other to comfort one another.
Go ahead.
When they caught him, the Viscount kept yelling at the top of his lungs. How is RASHTA doing now?
He smells like Queen. Be a terrible person. I must really. What do you mean?
I came to comfort you because I thought you may be upset, but I keep having wicked thoughts. What do you mean? No, that's not what I meant.
Was I too close to you?
I'm not the kind of uncivilized man WHO would get excited in this kind of situation. Oh my God, I'm just digging my own grave right now, aren't I?
Your tea will get cold. Take a seat.
If you were a woman, the Emperor would have fallen for you. Because you have very beautiful eyes. That is a truly odd way to compliment someone. If I were a woman, I would work at the palace as your lady-in-waiting. But why? So I could be by your side all day. You want to be my lady in waiting? Please cast your mind back to what I said after that, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, Duchess Tuania is here to see you. At this hour? Your Majesty, I know I shouldn't be asking this of you. But please spare Viscount Lander's life. How is Rashta doing now?
He said earlier that her life isn't in danger. So why does he look so concerned?
The Viscolint won't be able to get a trial, Your Majesty. What do you mean? Why not? This wouldn't have anything to do with Rashta's pregnancy, would it? Thank you, Your Majesty. May I hold on to this handkerchief? Saved. I will make sure I repay you one day for showing me this kindness. No, there's no need to thank me. This is not a debt that needs to be repaid. No, it means a lot to me that you are helping me in my hour of need. May I embrace you, Your Majesty? It is indeed because she is pregnant with his child. I'm told His Majesty plans to treat this case as treason, citing the fact that his child was in danger. It's because he can execute the Viscount for certain that way. His Majesty the Emperor sentenced Viscount Lander to death.
Your Majesty. Haha, I know I should bow to Your Majesty, but I'm having trouble getting up.
Why is he smiling?
Have the people heard about what that woman did to the Duchess?
It's fine.
I yelled as loudly as I could so that everyone would hear the truth. I kept shouting it on purpose as I was getting arrested.
That's why he kept shouting a trashta even while he was being dragged away. Now that I think about it, it was a very foolish thing to do. I should have shared all the information that I had gathered instead of going to see her. But I lost my temper when I saw her trying to weasel her way out of it.
I'm afraid your story has been buried by even bigger news.
It has? How could that have happened when it was about the Duchess? It's because news has spread that Rashta is pregnant. Viscount Lander is an honest young man. He would never do such a thing for no reason simply because he lost his temper.
No, that can't be true. She's pregnant? No. Pregnant? I can't believe it. Viscount, you will be executed without a trial.
Look at me. Viscount Lander.
If I thought you were going to die, I wouldn't have told you any of this. Do you understand what I am getting at?
Are you saying there is a way to save me? Are you
possibly considering exercising your right to grant an imperial pardon? As the Empress, I have heard you can grant this pardon up to 3 times. It's something like that. Now what I need you to do is tell me exactly what happened.
I already told His Majesty, but to no avail.
Just tell me what happened. I know that it's unforgivable to stab someone even if you're blinded by rage. But he should at least get a trial.
While I was tracking down the source of the groundless rumors about the Duchess, I found myself in the village near the temple where Lord Marius took his own life many years ago. The rumor about the Duchess and Lord Marius was the talk of the entire village. By asking around, I managed to trace back the rumors to several people who had first brought it up. When I spoke to them, they all said exactly the same thing as if they were all reading from the same script. Something didn't feel right about this. On from one person to another. But everyone was saying the exact same thing. And it was about something that happened long ago, at that.
I asked each person a couple of trick questions. What did you do next? As I expected, they all started saying different things once they didn't have the set answers to fall back on. But that wasn't enough for me to figure out who the mastermind was behind all this. So I showed them some portraits of high-ranking socialites who had been most active in high society lately, and asked the villagers to point out the person that paid them off. It turned out to be Viscount Lotteshu. And that woman IWAS, the one WHO told him to do. Why do you think it was Rashta?
Before Viscount Lotteshu became associated with that woman, he wasn't accepted by other nobles. But he started becoming better known thanks to his connection with that woman. And now he spends lavishly even though he's poor.
So he can explain himself and the jury can take it into consideration. Do you have a report or some kind of document that contains all the relevant details? I do. Where is it?
It's in one of the drawers in my study.
But why do you need the report? Duchess Tuania asked me to save you.
How is she? Please tell me if my actions ended up making her even more upset.
His love for her is so strong that he feels concerned for her well-being even though his own life is at stake. I can't clear your name.
But I can commute your sentence so you will be banished instead. I'm grateful that you would even try, I can guarantee it. You should tell me now if you need any items from your house.
I'll be sure to pass it on to your butler. Viscount Lotteshu received the Star of Red Flames ring from Rashta, and sold it to an auction house. How did Viscount Lander know that Sovieshu gave Rashta the ring? I was planning to talk to the Viscount anyway. I also think there's something that doesn't add up about this incident. No, that's not important right now.
Please commit Viscount Lander's sentence and banish him instead. That is something you should stay out of.
I also feel uneasy about it, but Rashta is pregnant with my child right now. Even if the Viscount didn't intend to, he almost killed my child. Your Majesty.
Don't you care about why the Viscount did what he did? What matters to me is that my child almost died. So if you're here to argue with me about that, you should leave.
Fine, then I guess I'll deal with the matter that Viscount Lander investigated separately in that case. What are you talking about? What do you mean you will deal with Viscount Lander's investigation separately? This is a separate matter from the incident that posed a threat to your child's life. Your Majesty should deal with Viscount Lander according to the law, and I will deal with Rashta according to the law. I suspect that it was Rashta who tried to tarnish your reputation. Then are the rumors true? I'll need to ask the Viscount for the details. I can't go and see the Viscount right now as His Majesty is interrogating him, but I imagine that the interrogation will be over soon, since he doesn't plan to let him have a trial. Thank you. I'll go and see him after the interrogation is over, so don't worry.
What do you mean you'll deal with her according to the law? With what evidence?
I have a report detailing her actions. And just so you know, the law states that the punishment for what Rashta did, which was tarnishing the reputation of a member of high society by spreading false information. I hereby commute the sentence of Viscount Lander. He will be banished instead. I managed to save Viscount Lander. But it feels like a hollow victory.
Queen?
I wanted to hug him. I hear that my older brother is in very poor health. I'm worried about him. Do you remember the blue-haired guard? He's my guard, secretary, and cousin, but it seems he also wants to be my nemesis these days. How to get revenge on those who hurt you? What if you took a lover who is incredibly good-looking, of high birth, and generally extraordinary? Revenge option 2. Ask Prince Henry for help. Henry's older brother is the reigning king of the Western Kingdom. Has his illness become worse? That means Prince Henry will have to go back. Why do you look so upset?
I know you despise Rashta, but how can you side with someone who attempted murder? Is to receive lashes after being tied up.
I suppose in the same way your Majesty can side with someone who tried to ruin someone's life with false statements.
How do you feel about going for a short walk, my queen?
Does he work out a lot? His arm is so solid.
What is wrong with you, Navier? It's not appropriate to think that way about someone who is escorting you.
Yes, a little.
Are you feeling warm, my queen? Your face is flushed. You must be very healthy to be hot in this weather, my queen. I suppose you'll never have to worry about catching a cold.
The letter must have worked out a lot. You must be worried.
That wasn't what I meant to say.
No, I wanted to ask you about your brother.
I know. Did you want to know if I work out a lot? My brother doesn't exercise very much. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. He says that his health is worse than before, but it's not severe yet. He's always been frail.
He said, yet. Does that mean his brother's condition may deteriorate further?
Oh, by the way, did you consider my suggestions for ways you could get your revenge?
You want me to take a lover who is incredibly good-looking, of high birth, and generally extraordinary?
I would recommend option 1. If you're not keen on the idea, what about a fake lover? Did you suggest that with Grand Duke Kaufman in mind?
What? No, your description fits the Grand Duke perfectly.
I didn't mean him. But who else do I know who is incredibly good-looking, of high birth, and generally extraordinary? Is there really nobody else you know who fits that description?
I was just joking.
So you were.
I don't want to look like I'm cheating with a man I don't even want by my side.
So that's the part you were joking about.
Why?
If I go back to the Western Kingdom.
Will you?
Miss me?
I'll miss you. A lot.
I mean it, I'm not leaving right away. It's getting late. Please allow me to walk you back to the main palace.
Do you not feel any sympathy for others? I do. That's why I'm trying to save Viscount Lander. May I also ask you a question?
Should I destroy it? Store it somewhere safe for now. I thought he was going to ask for it to be destroyed.
Our baby is in here, Your Majesty.
Tell me if there's anything you want to eat or anything you want to have. I'll give you whatever you want.
Anything I want?
The mother has to be happy in order for the baby to be happy.
I love you, but I don't want to change my life for you.
Rashta? Are you ill? Should I call for the doctor?
No, I'm fine. It's just something I've always wanted to hear. Rashta, you are my savior, Your Majesty. Is sympathy the only thing you feel for Rashta? You have no idea just how much I love you, Your Majesty.
I have returned from Rimwell. But, I think the child that Viscount Loteshu is raising
is indeed your child.
What? You constantly tell me I should feel sorry for Rashta. Report of her actions. Give that to me.
I'll give it to you after Viscount Lander has been banished.
I think the child that Viscount Loteshu is raising is indeed your child. I don't want to change my life for you. The mother has to be happy in order for the baby to be happy.
Thank you.
It's going to become quite tiresome if you keep letting yourself get manipulated like that. So try and think of a way to shake him off. Do you have any ideas on how I could do that?
No, I'm not sure what to do in this situation, either. Still, don't be too discouraged. By the way, aren't you curious to know whether the baby the Viscount is raising is a boy or a girl?
Your Majesty, that woman woke up, and guess what? His Majesty gifted her a big armchair to celebrate the occasion. I see, and it looks like Duchess Tuania is going to divorce Duke Tuania. But they couldn't agree on a settlement agreement, so they've gone to court to divide up their assets. Viscount Lander was banished yesterday, Your Majesty. By the way, do you remember Viscount Lotteshu, Your Majesty? It seems he is planning to move to the capital. I heard that he wants to live near the palace and has been house hunting. Did you get a maternity test from the temple? He exposed the truth about Rashta's past. But then the two of them colluded to slander Duchess Tuania. And now he wants to move near the palace? Could he be blackmailing Rashta? That's right, I heard the same thing. He's not just looking for a house. He's looking for a nanny, too. Is someone in his family about to have a baby? Well, it's not like it's my problem if Rashta gets blackmailed.
This is...
Huh? Isn't that the gift you received on your birthday? What was it called? It is a love potion, I think. And you haven't even opened it yet? Oh my, I thought somebody sent it to me as a joke. But there's a chance it might be real. There's no way this is real. If love potions were real, then we would have heard about them already. But the world is filled with all sorts of weird and wonderful things, Your Majesty. Could it really be effective? You should try using it, Your Majesty. I can't think of anybody I could use it on.
No, but it was obvious it was your baby. It looks just like you.
Use it.
I'm not sure WHO sent it. But what could be the reason behind sending it? Did someone feel sorry for me because Rashta stole my husband? Maybe it's just poison. Now that I think about it, I'm meeting Grand Duke Kaufman tomorrow to discuss the trade deal. He may be able to tell me more about it since he graduated from the Academy of Magic at the top of his class. The next day, in the small study of the West Palace. Please check whether there are any other nations in WA besides the ones listed here which have any products to trade with WOL. Sopran, I think it might be a good idea to think bigger than just focusing on trade between our two nations. We can establish distribution hubs in WA and WOL and charge a fee on any trade that passes through them. Of course, Your Majesty. Oh, and I heard that you graduated at the top of your class from the Academy of Magic. Would you mind taking a look at this? He's looking at me like that again. Maybe he really does hate me. Or maybe he just dislikes people in general. I don't. Pardon?
What is this?
I received it as a birthday gift. It said, Love Potion, on IT.
I didn't bring it with me because I think it will work. But it would be rude to just throw it away since it's a gift. I don't know if they are dangerous, but potions like this are sold on the black market. Would you mind checking if this item is potentially harmful? And they are effective to a certain extent.
But I've never heard of such a thing.
That's because you can't find genuine love potions even on the black market. Let me take a look. I think
So if someone drinks
this potion will be somewhat effective. They will feel like they are in love with the first person they see.
to be clear, it won't actually make them fall in love with that person. It will result in physical side effects, such as an elevated heart rate.
Why don't you use it on Emperor Soviashu? You just need to make sure that Your Majesty is the first person he sees after he drinks it.
No, it's quite all right.
It seems you don't believe it will work. Money you need.
How much can you lend me?
I'll personally demonstrate its effects.
No, you don't need to. I have an antidote, so it's all right.
Why do you have an antidote? Empress, I heard you were with Grand Duke Kaufman. Grand Duke Kaufman. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. Why are you facing that way? I'm over here.
Majesty, what brings you here, Your Majesty? Did you come to give me that?
What were you two doing before I arrived? He is refusing to look me in the eye, and you are trying to cover for him. Smirk, were you two kissing or something, Empress?
Then, as much as you need. Can you lend me 1,000 crayons? Are his lips swollen from kissing?
I'll lend you 10,000 crayons. This is a top-tier promissory note issued by the bank with the best credit rating in all of WOL. When I look at you, I can only focus on your lips, neck, and your beautiful eyes. And the sound of your breathing.
What perfume do you use? It has a wonderful aroma. It really does seem to be quite potent.
As I can see, I'm a mess right now, so please leave the room. I'll come back to my senses once I am no longer intoxicated by your scent. Then I can return to my room and drink the antidote.
Very well. Is that what it's like when someone loves you? Do they say things like that to you every day? I wonder what it would feel like if there was someone WHO couldn't think straight because of me.
He has clearly dressed up to see me.
I only sent the maid to check how he was doing.
How are you feeling?
Huh? It's lovely to see you. What? You look dashing today, Your Majesty, although you always do. Can we speak in private, Your Majesty? I wanted to see you. I wanted to see you so much. Please don't pay any attention to what I'm saying. Were you unable to take the antidote? I took it, but it didn't work.
Do you have another antidote that you could take, by any chance? The antidote you took may not have been suitable for this potion.
There is no chance of the antidote being unsuitable.
How can you be so sure? Your antidote wasn't made especially for the love potion, after all.
Unless it was created just to counter the effects of the love potion?
I was the one WHO sent you the gift. I didn't expect it to be this effective. You sent me the love potion?
I sent it because I felt frustrated on your behalf.
Why? Are you referring to the Emperor's relationship with Rashta?
I know it was a foolish thing to do, but I didn't like seeing you suffer.
The Grand Duke.
I'm very sorry, but I should go. Being in Your Majesty's presence is too much of a distraction. My attention is focused only on YOU, so it's difficult for me to talk to you, Your Majesty.
Are you going back to your room?
Will you ask me to stay? I should go. I think it's best that we don't see each other until the potion wears off. I don't know what kind of prank you're pulling on me, Grand Duke, but don't push your luck.
Did he run away?
Very well.
Are you done pulling pranks with the Grand Duke?
I realized afterwards that I was probably tricked. Grand Duke Kaufman. He was blushing. What do you mean? Because of you, wasn't he? It looked like he started blushing the moment your eyes met. Don't you agree, Your Majesty? I'd like to ask you for some advice. Could you spare a moment? Prince Heinrey?
What kind of document is this? Yes. Are you okay? Please don't come any closer.
Ah, ah, ah.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I thought this might provide an appropriate excuse to meet you.
You don't need to go to these lengths to meet me, Your Highness.
I don't want to do anything that would make you uncomfortable, my queen.
Ah.
I suppose you didn't actually come to ask me for my advice at all. And you came here just to meet me.
That's not true. There is something I would like to discuss with you. Do you remember that a few days ago, I told you that my brother is in poor health? Has his health deteriorated even further? It seems his condition deteriorated further right after he sent that last letter. Since then, I received a subsequent letter.
Ill. If the Emperor of the Western Kingdom is critically ill, then this may have consequences for our empire, too. It's also sad news for Prince Heinrey. And, concerned. Are you going to return to the Western Kingdom now?
Not immediately, but I'll have to return before I get a letter notifying me of his passing. And I'll have to be there to listen to his final wishes.
In that case, shouldn't you hurry back?
It's at times like these that I realize you and I have different responsibilities. Your Majesty.
Ah.
Did you come out for a walk, Grand Duke Kaufman? Yes.
Down.
Then please enjoy your walk. We have some more things to discuss, so.
Don't stand so close to her. Are you perhaps feeling jealous of me? Grand Duke, please call me Kaufman. Damn it, pretend you didn't hear that. It's more potent. The potion is more potent than I expected. Right now, I love you so much that I am willing to cause a misunderstanding with your husband as a diversion to protect you. Or at least, that's how it feels. Don't stand so close to her. Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness, I have received some urgent news which requires your immediate attention. What is it?
You should go.
We'll continue this conversation another time, my queen.
Are you close to Prince Heinrey? I think he is an incredible person. Are you feeling jealous?
I think so. I almost grabbed him by the collar earlier. How strange. My queen was standing in front of me, but now there is a stranger standing between us. What are you doing? Being jealous.
You mustn't do that. I understand. How does it feel?
It's somewhat fascinating for me to feel such an intense range of emotions.
Have you never been jealous of anyone before? Have I ever been jealous of anyone? Perhaps. I can be honest, to someone WHO gave me a love potion BECALISE. He felt frustrated on my behalf.
You are quick to admit it. Were you upset because of the love potion?
I wouldn't say I felt upset because I have seen how much you're struggling. So, it feels more like, do I have to answer that?
More like a bit of fun? Since it seems you have never felt intense jealousy before, let me tell you how it feels. It feels like there's an invisible voice screaming from within my heart. What is it saying? Why not? And I am tempted by what it says. I can't tell you that. Because that invisible voice is warning me right now that I can't tell you how I really feel. I feel an incredible sense of fulfillment just from having these strong feelings towards you. But it also makes me feel very uneasy in many ways.
It sounds like a bitter pill to swallow. When do the effects wear off?
Which of the two do you prefer? What do you mean? Do you prefer Grand Duke Kaufman or Prince Heinrey? I must admit, I don't understand your question, Your Majesty. It was truly a sight to behold, watching two foreigners squabble over the Empress.
That was a misunderstanding, Your Majesty.
Could you please be more mindful of your actions at a time like this?
What do you mean, a time like this?
Are you telling me that I should watch my behavior for the sake of your first child?
My first child? It's a child of the imperial family. That means it's also your child. No, it doesn't matter whether a mistress of yours gives birth to 100 babies or 1,000 babies. A child born to your mistress is no child of mine. Also, the news that Your Majesty is expecting your first child may be wonderful news to you, but it is not for me. What? After all, we all know that the child Rashta gives birth to will never become royalty. Even if you may feel otherwise, in 100 years. No, even in 10 years, nobody will even remember WHO that child is.
Grand Duke Kalifman, Prince Heinrey. Stop it, both of you. Empress, you truly are utterly self-centered.
I understand why you don't like Rashta, but how can you dislike an innocent child that hasn't even been born yet? What's wrong with that?
If you consider me your husband.
Ah.
Being jealous. What are you doing?
Ah.
At first, I was only interested in her. Out of curiosity. It's like the Empress of the Eastern Empire is made out of steel.
She has a heart of ice. I wanted to find out what kind of person she really was.
Her famously cold persona turned out to be just one facet of her real personality. Arigre, there were times when she would laugh like a young girl. Grand Duke Kaufman.
Ah. Ah. Ah.
Although there were other times when I felt sad because she would act so malicious ly in front of others. Are you jealous of her? He has some nerve to ask her that. How could he say such a thing to her, when she has been putting up with everything he has done?
If it were me.
If I were the one standing beside her. What's the matter? So, Your Highness, you received an urgent message. Is it from my brother? Walton 3 is in critical condition. We urge you to return to the palace as soon as possible. But this person is interrupting our parting. I apologize. Are you angry because I pushed him?
I'm not angry. I'm associating with Prince Heinrich is not fitting for someone of your status, Your Majesty.
This is getting out of hand. Your Highness.
Stop it.
What's wrong, Your Majesty?
Lower your swords. I said lower them.
Lower your swords. There's no need to worry. Magic is my specialty, so I can attack even from this distance. I said lower your swords. His Majesty and His Highness aren't the closest of siblings, but even I'm concerned, and I'm just his cousin. So I'm sure His Highness must be feeling far worse. Given your reaction, stir. It seems that you, at least, must harbor feelings for the Empress. HAMPHIAM, simply defending her on the grounds of common decency. Asking your wife to look favorably on a child born out of wedlock does not seem right to me. Out of wedlock? RASHTA is an official mistress. Convenience? If so, then I'll chalk this up to cultural differences. I've heard that it's common for LUIPTAN noblemen to keep harems full of beautiful women that they like. I don't know why you acted so rashly, but I cannot trust your judgment at all if you are someone WHO is so easily led astray by your emotions. I won't have you thrown in prison as I wouldn't want you to lose face. But I will have to reconsider whether a trade deal with Lewitt is a sensible way forward. Grand Duke, about what happened. Please don't apologize. This happened because I wasn't able to keep my emotions in check.
Grand Duke.
So I'll wait until tomorrow to talk to him.
Though the order of succession is irrefutable and there is a huge gulf between your highness and the next in line for the throne, you should return home immediately. Lean, yes, that is what I must do. And I must listen to his final wishes.
Your Majesty.
I wish Grand Duke Kaufman did end up falling in love with Your Majesty. Of course, I do feel sorry for using the Grand Duke for this reason.
Right now, I love you so much that I am willing to cause a misunderstanding with your husband as a diversion to protect you. Don't stand so close to her. Stand if you consider me your husband.
Queen.
Queen, is something wrong?
Should I tell Emperor Sovietshu's officials that you will be returning? And, I suppose you should. It's unusual for you to visit me so early in the day. I have something I want to discuss with you. Of course you do. You only visit me when you have something to say. I'm not sure. Why? I wanted to talk about the trade deal with LUIPT. Are you certain you wish to reconsider it? The trade deal, it makes sense that I would ask, as I'm letting on the negotiations around. So did you come to convince me that we should continue our trade negotiations?
Just think about the potential benefits that such a deal could open up for the Empire.
How do you know if it will benefit the Empire and not result in unintended consequences?
Because I've spent some time looking into it. Trading with WA is likely to spark the curiosity of both commoners and nobles.
Curiosity alone does not result in money changing hands. The nobles will be willing to spend some money to satisfy their curiosity. What about the recipient of your letters? And once they have set things in motion, then it will be easier for commoners to buy exotic items from LUIPT. The distance between the two continents is tremendous. Will the profits offset the losses we incur by traveling such vast distances? We'll have to make sure that they do. So ultimately, things are suncertain.
I suffered a blow to my face yesterday. Aren't you even going to ask me how I'm doing? How are you feeling, Your Majesty? Well, I'm not sure. No, I'm talking about the trade deal with LLIPT. You look fine to me. If you're worried about incurring a loss, I can look into the numbers and... No, that's not the problem either. Then what are you so concerned about, Your Majesty?
Are the potential benefits that you mention benefits for the Empire? Or, are you thinking ABOLIT your new lover?
Your Majesty. Which is it?
What are my chances if I ask for her hand in marriage? Sorry?
I believe there has been a misunderstanding, Your Majesty. Even if I did want a lover. Well, you're simply being childish. Childish? You took on a mistress and made sure she accompanied you to every palace event. So I don't know why you are trying so hard to interfere with my love life.
Interfere?
I suggest you keep an eye on Rashta's love life, not mine.
How can you say such a thing?
A mistress is a mistress, but you are the empress.
Never mind.
Ah, 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 ah.